Batgirl, issue 10, Tate BROMBAL writing with TAKESHI MIYAZAWA on the art. So, Cass has got a brother. That was the big reveal at the end of last issue.
Mm.
And I think this is a very interesting follow-up to that, where there's a quick flashback showing that Shiva would like visit once a year on his birthday to see how his training's coming along. From, well, I guess just his dad, I assume. Maybe some others, but
Richard's still there, but you can tell he's not doing well, right? Because he's in the wheelchair, being pushed by Ron Steiger. So you have to assume that they kind of both change him.
Just to be clear, though, he's still there in the flashback. He's not there in present day.
No. Yeah, that's what I mean in the flashback from when Shiva's coming to see him. So
no, I'm just keeping it straight. I mean, I don't know how many people listen to these reviews without reading the books, but assuming there's some, I like to just make it clear what we're saying. So it does this sort of recurring motif where he's kind of like learning his moves and he's sort of mouthing to himself left, right, dodge, or like, and it's the same kind of sequence of words that he says each time. So we get to the present day, and then the other cliffhanger, of course, was the first assassin showed up from the Unburied. So I thought this was a great issue. I love how this played out, in the sense that Cass is Cass. We know how she operates. We don't know this brother character, though. And this brother basically won't shut up and is constantly trying to prove himself because he's been training and he wants to show that he can fight. And Cass is saying, less talk, quiet. And one of the things that I really liked is he's like mouthing the words to himself, is that eventually she does say, stop calling out your moves, right? I like that, point one. Point two, though, is that later when she kind of wins the fight, she basically does the same moves and she says the moves, but the only difference is that it's in her narration and it fits the format we've had for the whole book, which is she has these short narration boxes where she's like, because she does it a lot when she's like examining someone's reaction, like, oh, sweaty, nervous, uneasy. She just sort of like lists a bunch of things about the person she's looking at. So yeah, there's a whole that. Also, Cash yells out at one point, "You killed my mother," and the brother's like, "Wait, what? Killed?
Mom?" Yeah. So I definitely feel like what Brombal is going for too is this kind of resentment that Cass would have for this boy, because he got the kind of mother, right? The mothering from Shiva, so she thinks, that she didn't get. But there's this undercurrent that she was just showing up to see if he was ready once a year. And it wasn't even something like yeah, she birthed him, but she really wasn't there. And he has this kind of twisted sense that he wants to prove himself to her. So I definitely like that dynamic, right? That both kids are broken in their own way, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously he doesn't have David Kane as a father, which means his experience is a little bit different. I think what this was doing for me was this idea of, like, he's a bit more coddled. Like, he's told that his parents are both heroes. He's believed that his life. That comes out over the course of the issue. Bronze Tiger kind of admits that, yeah, he's trained him to a point, but he's never been in a real fight. He's never actually fought someone who's trying to kill him. And he kind of he wanted to keep it that way. He wants them to think, yeah, I can be a badass, but he wants to keep them safe here, away from all the chaos of the rest of the world. So, he doesn't want Tenji, which is the brother's name, which I totally remember the entire time. It's not just because I'm looking at it right now. But he, he's like, Tenji, like, no, you can't do it. And Tenji gets a little bit cocky. He's like dodging the assassin's blade, and he's like, don't worry, Dad, I have been trained for this. But sure enough, Cass has to come in after he takes a hit and sort of like get the fight going herself and be Cassandra Cain. And it's a whole thing. And then ultimately Bronze Tiger steps in and knocks the guy into the barn, and they're like, okay, we have to go and patch him up and all that. But Cass is like, did she teach him? And it's like, well, nah, I mean, not really. She wasn't here. She came to test him once a year, but she wasn't really the one teaching him. So, it's a whole thing. I think it's interesting that we're exploring these ideas of like someone who was able to become or someone who thinks they want to be Cassandra Cain, because he does immediately say he looks up to her. He's like, oh God, like, you know, like I've got a sister to look up to now. And Cass doesn't really know how to deal with that. And I really like the page after he's been patched up, he's like lying on the table sleeping, and Bronze Tiger and Cass are basically debating, like, you know, what the right thing is here, and like who's family, and you know, it's like, why didn't your mother tell me that I had a brother? And as they're having this debate, they're both hitting this like training dummy thing that's got different like things like sticking out of it, and ultimately Bronze Tiger yells out that, you know, he didn't want him to end up like her, because he sees her as a broken person who is, you know, like the idea that she's went off to Batman. He breaks the training dummy thing, and he's like, I don't want my son to be doing what you do, and to be obsessing with trying to like fill the void that was left by your parents and or lack thereof. So, and Cass is like, I survive, he might not. Like that's the difference.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the other day it's like Cass saying, "Yeah, I had a great childhood. Like people should have my kind of childhood." Because no,
but she's, you know, she's a product of how she was raised, right? And that this boy's been coddled. He's never been in a real fight. He has all this confidence that's been unearned, you know, and that's been the complete opposite with her. She was just, you know, forced to become a weapon by her dad. Yeah,
he's cocky and naive, and not in like a malicious way. He just he just doesn't know. He just like
he's too, I don't want to say too dumb, because it's not a dumb thing, but you know, like in sports, you say like it's a team that they're not smart enough to know they're bad, right? Yeah. And not that he's bad or anything, but there's this, when it comes to like younger teams, there's this cockiness that they don't know they're not supposed to be good, right? So they'll stand up there against the better teams and try, and they're going to get beat, but that's where you learn from. So he still has a lot to go, you know, and that their training is, you know, he might never be ready if they keep going that route.
And I don't know if they said his age yet, but I assume he's still a teenager. I assume he's like 16 or something like that. So, you know,
I feel he's not significantly younger than Cass, because how's Cass supposed to be? She's like college age, right?
I think she's maybe like 20 or something now.
Yeah. So, you know, not significantly, but definitely, you know, that's her little brother, you know.
Hey, 4 years of a difference is a big difference at that age. Like, it's a difference between someone who's, you know.
It's, for us, it's a senior in high school versus a freshman, right? And that's a whole lot of difference.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm thinking specifically what their gap is, though. Like, he would still be in high school, and she's like actually maybe having to worry about money a little bit. You know, there's a big difference. And that's the real world comparison. Here, the comparison is she's been working with Batman for years and taking down super criminals and all the rest of it, and dealing with the kind of the trauma of how she was raised and all the rest of it. And he's been coddled in this farm for his life and told some lies to make himself feel better. If I have like one critique about this issue, honestly, it is a little bit weird that after Bronze Tiger knocks the assassin into the barn, that they just kind of like go into the house and start talking and ignore the fact that like he's still in there. Because I thought I thought Cass was going to let him like kill him or anything, but like you're not going to go and like just, you know, tie him up or something. Because sure enough, at the end of this conversation, we go out to the barn and he like takes one of his blue rose petals or whatever the flower is that they all take, they unburied. And he starts to like hulk up. He starts to glow blue, and he's like, "Oh, I'm ready to go supernova." So it's a whole thing. Also, Kenji's a little bit upset that his birthday's next month, and he won't get to show his mum that he's improved since last year. So he's coming to terms with the whole thing. So, yeah, it is interesting though that he like wants to be a hero. Like he has this desire to be that. Because he even says to Cass, I don't care if you don't want me, you know, I'm your brother, you're going to have to deal with that. So, yeah. And this is the thing, that she's been doing this the entire series. Has been like a constant thing in the writing, is this narration where she's like analyzing what the person she's talking to is doing. And like he reaches out and touches her shoulder, and she's like, touch, smile, heartbeat, words, find and they get interrupted before she can finish that thought. But I really love the idea, because, you know, a big part of Cassie's character is that she didn't really speak to begin with, and she can, you know, she talks and holds a conversation now, but it's still very short. It's still very. I love the idea that she has no idea how to respond to this genuine show of affection from a brother that she didn't know she had. She doesn't know what to say, and she knows she should say something, but the idea that Cass is in a position once again where she can't find the words, in a weird way, I have to assume that makes her feel like, you know, like almost like she's regressed. And not that she actually has, but it must remind her of how she used to feel in the early days when she just didn't have the words for anyone. You know?
It reminds her of her limitations.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, because she speaks body language, not speaking language. So, but no, I like that, because he tells her, you know, neither of us are dying today. And just, you know, she's looking at him, and just the way that they're drawn, you know, the body language here, she's still kind of leaning back, like she's not sure. You know,
yeah,
like
she looks,
this whole entire thing.
She looks surprised. He looks like he's trying to, you know, he's literally reaching out and like has kind of a relaxed, like, you know, warmth to him. And then in the background runs Tiger's side eye, and he's like, "Oh no, I don't want this. I don't want this sister relationship to be a thing. I don't like this. This is bad news." So yeah. Anyway, the assassin bursts in, all hulked out with his blue flower power.
Yep.
And you know, Kenji says, "We doing this?" And Cass just says yes, which at the very least means she's willing to fight alongside him here. And she says, "Watch, learn." So it's kind of cool her getting into big sister mode, where it's like, okay,
yeah.
Because here's what I like about this: a big part of Batman, right, in taking in the Robins, is this idea that he can help them be healthier than he is. That, you know, Dick Grayson won't turn out to be like Bruce Wayne, because he's there to kind of use what he's learned about himself to try and make sure Dick becomes a better, well-adjusted person, all things considered, right? And that's the attempt with all the Robins to some extent, and the Batgirls, I suppose. So this idea that Cass is effectively doing the same thing here, where potentially, right, where she can use the rougher past that she's had to actually train this brother, where, okay, you've not really been taught properly. You've been taught some fighting techniques and some, you know, like some basic stuff, but I can actually teach you to fight to survive. And, you know, maybe she'll impart that knowledge, but in doing so, she'll make a healthier person than she is, because she's able to kind of encourage better things in him. And it's in the same way that Batman encourages Dick and the other Robins to be better than him. So I like that she's effectively stepping into that kind of mentor role, and it feels like a big step for her, because she has been the younger one for such a long time, that it feels like a nice natural bit of like next step growth for Cass. Which is kind of what you want if you get given a character a solo book, is you want to give them some growth, and this feels like it is growth for her, where, you know,
she is like low-key accepted him, right? When she agrees to fight alongside of him, she's just like, well, he's my brother, I can't go back on this, so the best I can do is make sure he's ready.
I mean, I don't know if she's really even thought about it that in depth yet. I mean, I'd argue that it's really just like, oh, it's the first sign that she's willing to, more than anything. But, you know, her saying watch, learn, it's like, okay, she's going to start imparting knowledge, and he'll be the better for it. And, you know, it's interesting that this started with Shiva, this run, and like her relationship with her. But I do actually love that it's now pivoting into this new dynamic for her, because it is completely fresh for the character. It's completely different, and I'm kind of excited. So we get some fighting here. You know, there's a 2-page layout where they're fighting the assassin, and this is after that it goes to where Cass says the same things that Kenji was, but it's all in her head, which is left, right, dodge, counter, and then they both strike together. So it's, you know, it's visually showing that they're working a little bit in unison, and that there is something here. So the assassin starts to hulk out even more. Blue flames start forming around him. He's like, blue blossom omni strike. He's basically he thinks he's a Mortal Kombat character or something.
Well, yeah, he's going for a super finisher.
Yeah,
you know, and he's glowing blue. Like there's like flames and stuff coming off him. So you're like, oh shoot!
It's a great visual. I'll give it that. Yeah. However, there is a quick splat, the spin of a weapon, the head comes flying off, mostly in shadow though, because we don't want to get the book rated mature.
Yeah.
And the cliffhanger is the second assassin of 3 has arrived. Sword number 2, Wu Bing from the Blood clan, whose finisher is Blood of 1,000 Furies. So maybe we'll get to see that. Or maybe that was her finisher, the beheading, I don't know. But either way.
I don't know, man. He was just kind of standing there charging up, and comes through and Highlanders him. You know, I half expected her to yell, there can only be one.
I actually kind of liked her line here. He should have known Wu Bing. She's talking in the third person. He should have known Wu Bing is jet lagged and has no time for theatrics, only business. So I actually got a chuckle out of me.
Yeah, and she's her weapon is like one of those. They call it a Chinese podao, but it's like one of those swords that's on a staff, right? So it's the big curved like saber. You know, but it's on the end of a short staff.
It's like a spear and a sword had some sex, and this is what came out of the
she spit it around. She just took this dude's head off. And I do like on that the splurt or the slice page, it goes from those kind of blue energy flames to the red blood.
Yeah. Right?
Like the color gradient and stuff. Real nice touch. But yeah, that ending really shocked me because I was like, oh cool. We're gonna see, you know, Cass and them, and I have expected Bronze Tiger to come in and you know, take out this dude. Was not expecting this, so that was fun.
Yeah. So I kind of hope Kenji sticks around just purely because I do think it's interesting having Cass be in this mentor role. I think that's a cool idea. That said, though, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility he's dead by the end of this arc. It's also very possible. So we'll see. We'll see. It just kind of depends what Brombal's got planned, but. And the art, of course, has been something we have praised a lot in this series from the regular artist. It's very kinetic. Every time there's fighting, it feels like it flows very well. There's a really good pace to it. There's a really good kind of pulse to the action. And it happens every time. It happens during the first fight where Kenji's being cocky and he starts to get beat and Cass steps in. It happens when it's just Cass and Bronze Tiger like sparring with the dummy, but they're kind of like having this fight as they're verbally as they're doing it. And then ultimately the big final fight is just full of kinetic stuff. Typically whenever this book does like a 2-page layout for a fight scene, it usually leaves you quite pleased, I would say.
Yeah.
So, and that's not to discount the excellent body language and the fact that Cass only has eyes to really express herself, and the art still nails her reactions to so many things like throughout.
Yeah.
So
it's the Miyazawa. I have to look at it when I say his name. But really, it feels like it shifts gears when it does the action sequences. Everything ramps up. There's a lot of action, a lot more panels, and then when it's time to slow down, we get the bigger panels. We get the body language, the expressions.
Yep.
You know, and it's a really nice shift. So it makes it very cinematic. And in a martial arts focused book like this, you kind of need those gear shifts, right? It can't always be, you know, the double page fight scenes and stuff. So. And
sometimes it's just the simplest little things. Like, so that last page, right, where the assassins beheaded the first one, right? So those 3 panels at the top, right, which is there's like a slash of blood, the spinning of the weapon, and then the head sort of landing on the floor. Simple little thing here, but those panels are not just straight, you know, it's not just 3 rectangles, right? They're angled as if they're kind of like coming down in the same angle as the head. So you actually get the motion of the head flying down to the floor in the way the panels move. It's like it's a really smart, simple bit of layout. And this is not like a super rocket science trick. It's just very simple. The panels move in the same way as the head is moving. So when you see it land in that last panel of the ground, you kind of get the feeling that it's moved in that direction, which it has. It's just good layouts. It's just good art.
Yeah, that's the sequential art at work.
Yeah.
You know, you're following the sequence. So
good stuff.
But yeah.
All right, what are you rating Batgirl?
I mean, it was an 8.5.
You know, having talked about it, I think I'm going with a 9. I think this was a great issue. I think this is adding stuff to the character, and it's the art's great. There's good character beats, fight sequences. It's hard to fault, honestly. So no, good stuff.